Hey,
Hi, Charity. How are you?
I'm good. Great to
Good.
see you. I've missed you.
I know. I miss you guys. Well, I actually feel like I get to see you because you log on to our kids Zoom on Sundays with Bennett, and he's so cute.
Thank you. I agree wholeheartedly, but I know I'm the mom, so I get to say that.
He's really, really cute. It's fun. I don't always get to see preschoolers because I'm usually in the elementary wing, but it's been fun to see kind of all of those grades come together and ages come together and watch how they worship together. And I actually really love it. I don't want to do it like this forever.
Yeah.
I
And
kind of love the season of watching how they worship at home and whatnot. And you were on yesterday, did you see the boy who was boxing he was in during worship, he was boxing in the back? Did you see that?
that. I did not see that, but that's amazing.
It was awesome. We actually got a little snippet of it recorded just for motivation for why we do what we do. But well, you are Dr. Charity Byers. I'm going to introduce you a little bit before we jump into this. I want to ask you some questions and pick your brain today. You're Dr. Charity Byers. You work with Blessing Ranch here in Tampa, Florida. And can you kind of share really what it is that what do you guys do at your office and your job? What do you do?
Well, I'm a psychologist, and we work with Christian leaders primarily and their families. Some of them, come from all over the U.S. and some are missionaries from all over the world. So we're just really here to take care of people who are out there on the front lines of ministry. So some come to us in kind of crisis seasons of life when they're going through a major emotional struggle or marital struggle or a ministry struggle. And some are just really looking to take the next step up and just want to have some support, encouragement, and direction in that process.
That's awesome. It's so necessary. It's so necessary. I'm thankful for you guys that you offer that. I've had so many friends come through there and been blessed. It's a perfect name, Blessing. Blessing. Oh, my computer just dinged. Sorry about that. Don't know what that was. I don't know how to make it not do that again, but it'll probably do it again. Okay. So the first question I really want to tackle, just to bless our families and anyone watching right now, we're in this weird season of being at home. It's been I don't even know how many weeks we've been home now. It's like 6 or 7. You think it's like, yeah. It's a long time. And many people are really, truly abiding by it and staying completely home and not doing anything with anyone. We in ministry have a little bit more connection with people. So I've not totally been, it's like meeting with a few here and there. So it's not total seclusion, but I know that in this time, mental illness or just the effects on our brain of loneliness and seclusion and social distancing, that it's going to take a toll on us. What are some things that you think you could tell us, like be aware of or help us through this time? Do you have any advice or thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for so many reasons, this has been a really hard time in many, many people's lives. We're clearly going through all of the changes with social distancing and just the isolation that comes with that. We're going through emotional challenges with having, friends or family members being sick or losing people, with financial struggles and the whole bit. So there's just so much going on right now that is really impacting us. And I think just in this season really of isolation and disconnection, one of the simple things that gets to us is the fact that we don't have as many other people's voices coming into our lives, and we don't have also the distraction that comes in our lives. And so basically what I'm saying is we're just left to our own devices. And sometimes that's not a good thing.
Right.
We're left to our own thoughts, first of all. So without, the hustle of every day, without the activities going on, so many more people are just sitting there dwelling and sitting with their thoughts. And particularly in a time like this, again, when there is so much negativity trying to draw you in, I think we're so much more susceptible to some of that when we really find ourselves in these isolated places. And then secondly, like I kind of mentioned, we really lose the input of other people when we're not in constant connection, when we're not, sitting around having coffee with our friends, at the office or whatnot. We're really missing that input that sometimes we really need to pull us out of those places that we go to, those darker places inside of us. So, for those of us who are prone to anxiety and it's just really rising up inside, we don't have that friend, coming to us and saying, it's going to be okay, calm down, trust me, I'm in this with you. We just miss that input from other people. So I think those are just some of the practical implications, that we're left to our own thoughts a whole lot more, and we lose the voices of other people who sometimes can be really helpful to pull us out of those places we go to in the midst of difficult times like this.
For sure. I always say, church isn't the fellowship. When God says, don't forsake the fellowship, I think that well, of course, I know that he knew our minds would need the week to week check mark of just, encouragement, singing praise songs. There's something about standing in a room full of people and singing and lifting up your voice, even if you've had a really bad week, that you come into those moments and it lifts your spirits. It brings you back to, it like resets your week, and it's such a gift to us. And so when we don't have that, even at home, I think it's been really sweet to worship at home, but it's just not enough. And God knew that. He said, don't miss out on that part of church. You need church, and you need other people. I think that's actually really powerful. You need other people speaking into you. I think about our single, the moms and dads who are single at home and don't have anyone to process with at all. And my heart's really tender towards that, because I think, how do you balance when you lay your head down at night, the fears and the worries and the loneliness? So I think that's true. So yeah, I mean, we're going to come out of this. It's going to be over at some point. And, it's going to be an interesting season, I think, over these next few weeks to see how we climb out. How do we get out? So I guess we recognize we need people, we need interaction. How are we going to get out of this? How do we climb out of this hole that we're in, kind of, sort of? It's weird. What do you see happening?
Yeah. Well, in a sense, it's just one step at a time. And I think just from the perspective of sort of mental health, what do we need to do? I think we need to really be mindful in this season of just thinking about what our new normal needs to be. We've all found another normal than we were used to over the last couple of months. And of course, that's about to all shift again. And we really have to be mindful of finding just sort of a new way of living. That's really going to take all that we have learned through this season and just make us better for it, and make the way we live better for it. And so, I think we've really just got to spend this time right now just asking God one simple question, and that is, what have you been teaching me throughout all of this? What is it that you want me to learn about how I can live more like you because of what you have stripped from me, over this time, or the lessons that you've taught me about what I need or I don't need over this time, and to really be intentional about how we paint a picture of what life needs to be after we all get out of this, season we've been in, so that we just have freedom from just the way it used to be. And we get to really create a vision that's much closer to the way that God would actually intend for us to do it all.
Right. So good. What are you teaching me? I need to ask myself that question every day. What are you teaching me in this season, dear Lord?
Absolutely. So, how do we climb out of this? I think it starts with that vision. And then, we have to really be willing to, leave some things behind us. And I think, like you said, we have to just take one step at a time towards that new normal and challenge ourselves in some place of discomfort. So, we recognize that everybody has different feelings about, reentering. Some people are really, just ready to crawl out of their skin because they can't do this one more day. And other people just think this feels kind of nice to have some of the pressure off and some of the business gone that we used to have. And so, again, we just have to ask ourselves the question, what do I need to let go of that I was so tied to, or what do I need to be willing to do differently? So, what's your next step to, really step into that vision that God has? So what do you think about that, Jen?
Well, I think that extroverts and introverts are going to have a different response to this. I mean, I talked to some of my friends, like you said, who are like ready to jump out and hug everybody. And then I'm actually an introvert. So there's a part of this that I don't want to give up. And there's time at home that, for my family, we're reassessing some things, just saying, we're good with busy. My kids are older. They're busy. Busy works in our house right now, but there's also a part of it that needs to not work. I think being too busy when we get back to life and just, I think what you're saying is like, what are some things God's teaching us in this time? What are some things we need to not do? Like, what are some things we need to keep? What are some things we need to take away? And so I know for us, we're trying to figure that out. And for me, I want more time at home. And so there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I want to come back, and yeah, I want to see everybody. I want to make sure everybody's okay. That's kind of my heart. But I also like to be at home too. So it's a weird mix of emotions for me personally, but I know everybody comes with a different response to this. And I talk with a lot of people who are ready just to bust out of the seams and we'll take any opportunity. I mean, the beach is open today, and I know at least 10 of my friends already gone.
Yeah, yeah.
They've already gone.
Like you're kind of saying, we've all just fallen into these new routines, over the last bit, and some of it's been good. But life is about to pick up again. So I think we have to be challenging ourselves now to sort of get out of our ruts. Now, some of them may be good things, like we're spending more time at home, or, we're getting more time with the kids, and all of that's good stuff. But I think for a lot of people too, we've really lacked a little bit in our disciplines, and we've lacked a little bit in just having structure and routine in our life. And we're just kind of going with the flow a little bit more. Again, maybe we all needed to lighten up a bit, but I think we
Not
need to
this
be
much.
gearing ourselves back up a bit with some really good disciplines in our life, and some good structure, so that our systems aren't just shocked completely when we have to go back into the office or whatever that is. So I think this would be a good adjustment phase right now for us to really think about that. How can we get back to a place where our disciplines are strong, we have enough healthy routine in our life, and enough structure, so that we aren't just sitting around in pajamas all day, and all that good stuff, which is fun for a few days, but you know what I'm saying.
It is, until you put on your jeans, and then it's not fun anymore. And then you're like, oh, the jeans don't fit. Okay.
And I haven't even wanted to try that. I don't want to know.
Don't even. I feel like the longer you wait, it's better. I actually put on jeans last week because we started kind of coming out of the house a little bit last week. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to just put some disciplines in place. I'm really trying. It's funny because you just kind of graze all day long. I feel like my family, I make a meal, and then I come back into the kitchen, and there's like food everywhere again, and we are eating all day long.
Yes.
A lot of food. A lot of food. I've enjoyed it though. My kids they're older and fun, and it's been fun to be home and watch it. Although they're a little bit crazy. Like my 14, it's taking a really, who I'm really seeing it in my house, of all of the people that it's impacting the most, is probably my youngest, my 14-year-old's really struggling. And I think that there's just so much fear of missing out, but there's absolutely nothing to miss out on. They're just like, I should be doing something, but I'm not. I don't know. What's your word to a teenager? Do you have any good words for a teenager right now?
Whew, that's a tall order, Jen.
Just think about it. You can get back to me on that one.
Hear that though, that fear of missing out. I remember those days clearly from being that age. And so, I think the word would be, again, just to come back to a godly perspective of really, who are you in Christ? And I know that's such a simple thing, but it's actually the answer to a lot of that, because the fear of missing out often is, well, what if I miss out on this moment with my friends, or we don't get to have graduation and all of that. And I'm not trying to minimize those things and say they're not important, but truly, how do we ever get through those things in the midst of our grief about all those losses? It's truly just to know what matters about who you are. And what are we not missing out on? We're not missing out on relationship with God at all. We're not missing out on being who we're supposed to be right now, and having the character we're supposed to have right now, and all of those things. And so it doesn't minimize the loss. It doesn't minimize, the grief of some of those big things that everybody really is missing, but it puts it in perspective, and it just gives you something to hold on to in the midst of that.
That is so true. And it's hard. I mean, I think when your identity is wrapped up in your busyness and the things that you do all the time, I think you and I talked on effectiveness. I actually want to go there in a second, but when you feel like you're not doing the things that you normally do, or you're not being productive, it's really easy to forget your identity, especially if you've wrapped yourself up in those things that you do. And so many of us do. It's hard not to. In our flesh, I think it's really easy to be about, like, I am what I do, and that's just not true. You are who you are in Christ. And so that's hard, but we've had time to think about it. I think the space in our minds that God has given us in this time to really assess some things, like, what have I been leaning into that I shouldn't be leaning into, and what are some things I've trusted that I shouldn't trust, and I need to put my trust totally on him. I think I think we'll look back on this season hopefully with some love for that, like a care for that, like thankful for that, hopefully. I don't know.
Absolutely. It just kind of made me think too about, this concept of our identity being wrapped up in what we do. And sometimes it's not just about a job title, but it's also just about the contribution we feel like we're making. And, for a lot of people, it's just been so slowed down. Like, we feel like we're not able to contribute the way that we want to, or serve the way that we want to, or just be there for people the way that we want to. And there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of guilt. There's just a lot of emotions that come with that for people. And so, I've seen a lot of people struggling, who tend to be a little bit more performance oriented
Yes.
that way. And so, that's just another thing to be noticing about ourselves right now, and asking ourselves questions about, do I really, really believe that, my value is not tied to those things? And do I really, really believe that even when I can't accomplish these things the way that I'm used to, God's taking care of stuff in his own way?
Right. That's so good. That's so good. That's a great place to end because that answers it fully. If you're feeling like you're not effective, if you feel like the things that you're doing are not moving fast enough or the way that they should be going, or because I mean, none of us were made to do these Zoom calls. I mean, not few of us. I think there's a few people in this world that have this job normally, but for the rest of us, face to face is how we do life and ministry. And so we weren't made to do it this way. And so you can feel yeah, you can feel like you're not accomplishing much of anything and that everything feels kind of worthless at times, but
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
good word. Well, I am so thankful that you met with me. Thank you for taking time. I know you're busy, but again, you're here in Tampa. I know you offer services for counsel and all those things. So just thank you for being who you are and providing that for ministry and all kinds of people.
Well, I appreciate the time with you today, and we'll echo that back to you. Thank
All
you.
right. Have a great one. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.